Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. And today we've got a video that asks a fun question about the use of battleships, especially early in World War II, before the full weight of the production line of the fast battleships is able to come online and send those ships into the Pacific. Why does the United States not commit more battleships to the Guadalcanal campaign? We have a couple of fast battleships there. North Carolina, Washington, South Dakota, the very first ones off the production line make it into the Guadalcanal campaign, but that's pretty much it. We only send two battleships, Washington and South Dakota, into the slot to actually fight a surface battle. But we had so many more battleships active, even if you subtract the ones that are lost at Pearl Harbor. Likewise, the Japanese only send their two smallest and oldest battleships in, even though in support very close by, they have the battleships Yamato and Musashi at Truk Lagoon. And there's not another warship in the world that compared to those two at that time. Why are they not sent in? Why doesn't the combined fleet send in more battleships to bombard Henderson Field to just wipe the seas of the American fleet? Like, why are both fleets committing roughly similar levels of forces and fighting these knockdown, drag-out fights in which both sides are taking unsustainable casualties instead of one side just sending in everything they have and wiping them out? It's a great question. I can't wait to talk about it. And believe it or not, the answer for both sides is exactly the same. But first, here's a word from our sponsors. For today's video, our sponsor is Magic Spoon cereal. Magic Spoon fits a variety of diets, is high protein, and has no sugar. Magic Spoon is an easy source of protein. It makes it so convenient for me to eat more protein when I'm too busy or tired to cook. Magic Spoon tastes just like the cereal we loved as kids. The most popular flavors are fruity, cocoa, frosted, peanut butter, but there are many more. Today, I'm eating cinnamon roll. As a grade school kid, I used to eat cereal on my days off just before building model ships. As an adult kid, I eat it for lunch while working on my 1-to-1 scale model ship. But I don't have to feel bad about eating children's cereal because every serving of Magic Spoon has 13 to 14 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and 4 to 5 grams of net carbs, so you can feel good about what you're eating. Use my code BATTLESHIP or click the link in the description to try Magic Spoon cereal today and get $5 off. You can also find Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee online. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. The Japanese, by the Guadalcanal campaign, have 12 battleships. They've got the 10 older ones, mostly World War I designs, and they've got the two new super battleships, Yamato and Musashi. The four oldest of these 10, the Kongo class, had been built as battle cruisers. They tend to operate alongside the Japanese carrier forces, like the Kido Butai, which usually has two, or the other Japanese strike forces. So they still have a core battle line of 8 battleships. On the other side of the Pacific, the United States starts the war with 9 battleships in the Pacific, 8 at Pearl Harbor, 1 undergoing refit at Puget Sound. Obviously, some of the ones at Pearl Harbor are lost, but within 3 months, by the beginning of February 1942, the United States has reconstituted its Pacific Fleet battleship force into Task Force One. Task Force One has the Pearl Harbor surviving battleships of Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Maryland. Each of those ships had only been hit by a couple of bombs and were able to be really quickly repaired, as opposed to the other ships in the harbor, which were either sunk outright or would take years to repair. They also had Colorado, which had been at Puget Sound at the time, undergoing a refit. And then they were able to get the 3 Atlantic Fleet battleships of the New Mexico class to come through the Panama Canal and join them to flesh out the fleet. So even though Task Force One has fewer ships, they've now spent a lot more time doing gunnery training. They've been updated with radar, which only 2 of the battleships actually had installed by the time of Pearl Harbor. They have significantly heavier anti-aircraft batteries installed, and they've had more training on it. They're operating primarily out of the West Coast, where they've got ready access to fuel and ammunition. And they're the last line of defense, really. If the American carriers lose, if the Japanese are able to divert the American carriers and then launch an attack on the United States, it's these battleships that are being held in reserve to do this. And that's how they're used during the Battle of Midway. Instead of sailing around burning up oil like the Imperial Navy's battleships, the American battleships are largely back west. They can race in if the American carriers are defeated, if they can find air cover elsewhere, and fight the Japanese, but they're more or less kept out of the battle area. These battleships are escorted by the escort carrier Long Island, the first American CVE, so they do have a little bit of fighter and anti-submarine escort. And this is very similar to how the Japanese Navy's battle line is escorted by the old aircraft carrier Hosho, which is very comparable in terms of size and aircraft and capabilities. So at this point in the war, the United States and Japan have two really well-trained battle lines. They're at their apex. They haven't started to see the fuel shortages that are going to force the Japanese to lose their edge. And the American battleships haven't started to be employed exclusively for shore bombardment roles, where arguably they might be losing their edge in surface battles. So, with these two forces ready to go, relatively close to the battle zone, why are they not committed to Guadalcanal? The short answer is fuel. This is not the American Navy of mid-1943, where not only do we have a large number of aircraft carriers, modern carrier aircraft, and fast battleships coming online, but more critically, we have the fleet support train coming up to forward deploy, the fast oilers, the floating dry docks, the resupply ships, all right behind the fleet. At this point, the United States Navy has something like 7 oilers in the Pacific. That's hardly enough to keep Pearl Harbor refilled so that they can keep sending out carrier task forces, much less going even further past that to the American forward base at Noumea or all the way down to the Guadalcanal area. The simple truth is the Japanese oldest battleships and the American fast battleships burn way less fuel than the older slow battleships, or the Japanese older slow battleships, or the super battleships. Those things are fuel hogs. In fact, while they're in Truk Lagoon, Yamato and Musashi are emptying their bunkers to help refuel the cruisers and destroyers that are running into the slot to fight off Guadalcanal, because they're not able to get enough fuel forward, especially with the American submarine onslaught. And that's why we're filming this video in Battleship New Jersey's boiler rooms. These boilers, burning fuel at a tremendous rate, especially at battle speeds, are the real limiting factor at this point in the war. And it seems like Japan and the United States, they're able to get enough fuel to the battle area to keep a couple of fleet carriers going, their cruiser and destroyer escorts, and send those ships into the slot in between carrier battles. But they cannot supply their entire battle lines. And so it's with relatively limited resources that Admirals Halsey and Yamato are fighting against each other in the Solomon Islands. Do you think the outcome of the battle would have been different if both sides had unlimited fuel and were able to throw their battle lines in? Let us know in the comments section down below. The Guadalcanal campaign is one of the most interesting for me because it's still a quote-unquote fair fight with relatively similar technology levels and relatively similar sizes of fleets fighting. But do you think that putting the American and Japanese battle lines against each other in late '42 would have changed the outcome of the war? Let us know in the comment section down below. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below to donate if you'd like to continue supporting the museum. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find about us and the channel. Thanks for watching.